Welcome to the deep dive. Our goal, as always, is to cut through the noise, look at the sources you send us, and really hand you the core stuff you need.
Yeah, the practical bits.
Exactly. And today we're doing a deep dive into four really common but super useful social phrasal verbs in English.
Mm,
We want to go beyond just the dictionary definition and figure out why native speakers use these specific phrases to sound, natural and friendly, fluid even.
that's right. Because if you want to make your English sound better, like right away, getting these four down is pretty key.
Okay.
They're not just words, are they? They're more like tools. Tools for talking about, well, the big things in social life.
Mhm.
How we come up with ideas,
Right.
how we handle relationships, how we deal with attitude or conflict, and maybe crucially, how we set boundaries, personal space.
So this isn't about just memorizing lists from a textbook.
No, not at all.
It's more about understanding the strategy behind using them. We'll cover the meaning, sure, but maybe more importantly, why you'd pick these over simpler words.
It's like the fast track to sounding more authentic. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. So let's frame it around those four pillars you mentioned. Ideas, relationships, attitude, and boundaries. Sounds good. Let's start with ideas.
Mhm.
Okay, first up, the world of creation, brainstorming, ideas. The phrase is come up with.
Mm-hmm.
Now, most people probably know it means, to think of something, create a solution, an idea, a plan.
Right, the basics.
But why this three-word phrase? Why not just say invent or create? What's the extra nuance here?
That's the interesting part, isn't it? That's the linguistic nugget we want to grab.
Okay.
If you say you invented a plan, it sounds, well, a bit formal, maybe technical, a bit grand even.
Yeah, like you're Thomas Edison in his lab or something.
Exactly. But if you use come up with, it often suggests something else, maybe a sudden idea like pop, or something that came out of brainstorming, or even finding a solution when you're under pressure. It feels more dynamic.
So it captures the effort involved, the mental wheels turning, not just the final shiny product. Precisely. Think about how we use it at work all the time. She came up with a brilliant business plan.
Okay.
That phrasing suggests she put in the time, maybe struggled a bit, and then bam, breakthrough.
And it's not just for brilliant stuff, right?
Okay.
Can you come up with like a terrible idea or just a silly excuse?
Oh, absolutely. And that flexibility is why it's so useful in conversation.
Wow.
You can use it seriously, like
Yeah.
the engineers need to come up with a new design by Friday. Very important.
Mm-hmm. Or totally casually. Uh-oh, I couldn't come up with a good reason for skipping the gym again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can relate to that one. It seems really vital for teamwork, too. Like, in a meeting, you wouldn't usually say, let's invent some ideas now.
No, it sounds weird.
It's always, okay, team, let's come up with some ideas for the event.
Yes.
It feels like an invitation, more collaborative.
It does. And just a quick structural point, remember, you have to come up with something. It needs that object.
Right, you can't just trail off.
Yeah, you can't just say, I couldn't come up with, it needs the what? Like, I couldn't come up with anything. That expresses that feeling of, total mental block.
Got it. So, come up with is the go-to phrase if you want to talk about generating something new, especially if it took a bit of mental sweat.
That's the native speaker's choice, definitely. Okay, so from ideas, let's move to the people involved. Relationships. The phrase here is get along with.
Get along with, the social harmony indicator.
Yeah, basically means having a good, functional relationship with someone. Harmony, cooperation.
Okay, but here's a question. If I'm talking about my close friend, I'd probably just say, we're friends. Why bring in get along with? What extra layer does it add?
That's a great question. Because get along with isn't necessarily about deep love or friendship. It's more about functional harmony.
Functional harmony, okay.
It means two people or groups or whatever can exist together without, like, constant conflict or friction. Think about work environments or maybe even some family situations.
Places where you have to interact, even if you didn't choose each other.
It's about tolerance and cooperation, maybe more than affection.
So it's the perfect phrase for managing those necessary human interactions. Precisely. Like, you ask someone at work, do you get along with your coworkers?
Mm-hmm.
If they say yes, it suggests things are generally okay. Meetings aren't horrible, projects get done, no major drama. Doesn't mean they're all going bowling together on Friday night.
Right. It separates function from feeling, in a way. I also like how it can show change. Like you might say, my brother and I used to fight all the time, but now we actually get along really well.
Yeah, it signals that resolution, that history's been dealt with.
It shows growth.
It does.
Yeah.
And remember, linguistically, you always need the with. You get along with someone or something.
Got it. always with.
Hmm.
Now, one thing we noticed in the source material was using it beyond people.
Oh, yeah. That's fun, isn't it? Applying it to animals or even things.
It's like this concept of coexistence is so basic, we apply it everywhere.
It is, and it adds a bit of personality when you talk. If
Mm.
your old grumpy cat is sort of tolerating the new puppy, haha, yeah.
You could easily say, well, the cat doesn't quite get along with the puppy yet. Everyone instantly gets the picture, the vibe, same language you'd use for, like, difficult relatives.
That makes sense. And the flip side, when things aren't harmonious, it seems like this phrase is maybe most powerful or most common in the negative.
I think you're right. It's such a neat way to signal friction. I don't really get along with my new boss.
Boom. One sentence tells you almost everything you need to know about that dynamic. Friction, tension.
Exactly. Very efficient. Okay, so from harmony, let's jump right into the thick of it. Conflict. Specifically, conflict involving authority and attitude. Our third phrase, talk back to.
Mm-hmm.
Talk back to. And this one is all about tone and context. It carries a very specific meaning. Replying rudely, disrespectfully, or defiantly.
Right, it's not just disagreeing.
No, definitely not. The meaning comes entirely from the social dynamic. If a child talks back to a parent or an employee talks back to a manager, they're not just offering a different opinion.
They're challenging authority.
Yes, they're being rude, challenging the speaker's position. It's almost always seen as a disciplinary issue.
So if I say, I disagreed with my manager's decision, that sounds professional, neutral.
Totally fine. Standard discussion.
But if I say, I talked back to my manager, well, I'm basically admitting I was out of line. I was disrespectful.
You got it. The phrase itself signals that you crossed a line of respect.
Yeah.
The tone is baked right in.
You hear it a lot with kids, right?
Oh, constantly. Parenting, schools,
Mhm.
anywhere there's a clear authority structure. Don't you talk back to me. Or he got detention for talking back to the teacher.
It's about violating that power structure verbally.
Exactly. And structurally, like get along with, this one needs the preposition too. You talk back to the person you're defying.
Okay. Talk back to. But, it's not always serious, is it? Sometimes we use it more playfully.
Well, yeah, that's where it gets kind of funny and relatable. We use it humorously, often when we're frustrated with things that aren't even people.
Okay, like technology, I swear my phone's navigation and I do not get along with each other sometimes.
Uh-huh. Perfect example.
If I ignore a turn and the little voice immediately starts recalculating, very insistently telling me to turn around now, I might mutter something under my breath.
And you might tell a friend later, ugh, my GPS was talking back to me again. It had such an attitude.
Yes, it captures that feeling of an inanimate object somehow defying you or being sassy. It's a great way to vent that minor frustration.
Mhm.
But yeah, key takeaway. When used about human interactions, especially with authority, talk back to is a clear signal of disrespectful confrontation. Very negative. Got it. Handle with care.
All right, our fourth and final pillar. This one is about boundaries, taking a break, escape. The phrase is get away from.
Get away from. So if come up with is about engaging and creating.
This one's about disengaging, stepping back.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to.
This feels like maybe the most flexible one we've talked about. It seems to cover physical distance, emotional distance.
It really does. That flexibility is its strength. The most obvious use is physical escape, right? Like needing a vacation.
Yeah, we need to get away from the city noise for a weekend.
Classic example. It implies you consciously need that distance, a break.
But where it gets really powerful, I think, is the emotional side. You use the exact same structure.
Like when you're totally overwhelmed.
I just need to get away from all this stress or get away from the drama. It immediately signals you're trying to create an emotional boundary.
Yeah, it works perfectly for that. And while it's often positive, like self-care, it can also be about escaping negative things, more dramatic situations.
Like in a crime story.
Sure. The thief managed to get away from the police by ducking into the subway. The core is the act of escaping, creating distance from something unwanted.
And you can use it metaphorically too, right? For self-improvement, like escaping old habits.
Absolutely. I'm really trying to get away from checking my email first thing in the morning.
Or, I wish I could get away from this mountain of laundry.
Yes. Whether it's traffic, bad habits, annoying noise, actual danger, or just emotional overload, get away from is your phrase for intentionally creating distance.
And structurally, again, the preposition is key. You need the from, you get away from something specific.
Yep, you have to name the thing you're escaping. And thinking strategically, why choose this over, say, flee or avoid?
It feels less dramatic than flee more every day.
Exactly. It has a lighter, more conversational feel, which makes it perfect for talking about needing a break, setting boundaries,
Yeah.
managing stress in daily life.
So really useful for mental health chat, personal space discussions.
Definitely.
Okay, so we've unpacked the 4 phrases. Come up with 4 ideas, get along with for relationships, the harmony part,
Right.
talk back for that specific kind of attitude conflict,
Defiance.
and get away from for escape and boundaries. But knowing them one by one isn't quite the same as using them fluently, right? The real magic is how they weave together.
Yes. This is where you see their power in action. True fluency is using them naturally in sequence, narrating complex situations easily, like what happens every single day at work or home.
Okay, so let's use that mini story from the source material. It does a great job showing how these 4 flow together, from brainstorming to fallout to needing a break. All right, so the story kicks off with the idea phase. Sets the scene. The team had a deadline. They really had to come up with a totally new marketing concept for this client. Okay, starting with the creative need. Then it moves to the people dynamic, using our relationship phrase.
Luckily, most people in the group generally get along with each other pretty well.
Ah, so that made the brainstorming easier, more fun.
Exactly. Made it collaborative, less stressful initially.
Uh-oh. Sounds like conflict is coming.
You guessed it, as often happens. A big problem popped up when one of the newer team members started, well, talking back to the senior manager during the big review meeting.
Ooh, bad move. Challenging the boss in front of everyone.
Yeah, crossed a line. Big time.
And the result, the fallout. This leads to the final phrase.
The need for boundaries. The tension in the room got so thick afterwards, the person telling the story just felt they had to get away from the office for an hour to clear their head, reset.
Wow. Okay, so in just 4 sentences, using these common phrasal verbs.
You've told complete, nuanced story about office life. You covered creativity, come up with, team harmony, get along with, conflict and insubordination, talk back to, and finally, self-care or stress management, get away from.
Without needing complex vocabulary or really long sentences.
That's the power. That's the flexibility. They handle these core social situations so efficiently.
It really shows how fundamental these are. If you want that natural conversational edge in English, you really need to master these 4.
Absolutely critical. Hashtag tag tag outro.
All right, so wrapping up this deep dive, let's just quickly cement those core ideas. You know they mean now, but hopefully also why you'd choose them over simpler words. For better tone, better context, and just sounding more natural. So quick recap. There it is. Correct. Come up with. Generate an idea, plan, solution. Often implies effort or a spark. Get along with, have that functional harmony, cooperate with someone, talk back to, reply rudely, defiantly, usually to someone in authority. Big attitude signal. You get away from, escape, take distance. Physical, emotional, mental break. Setting boundaries.
Got 'em. So here's your challenge. We want you to actually use these, your mini challenge for today. Try and come up with your own little story, maybe just 2 or 3 sentences using all 4 phrases.
Yeah.
Could be about a family dinner gone wrong, a frustrating shopping trip, anything. Make it real. And let this also spark a little reflection. Ask yourself, maybe later today, who do I really get along with easily at work or home? Or have I felt that urge recently to talk back to maybe an unfair situation? Or even just my annoying alarm clock? Yeah. And maybe the big one. What's one thing, a habit, a commitment, a source of stress that you really need to get away from, even just for a little while? Good questions to ponder.
Because good English isn't just grammar. It's about connecting, expressing these subtle social things clearly and efficiently. And these 4 phrases, they're like little power tools for that.
Absolutely. So take a moment. Let these sink in. Keep practicing them. And hey, remember, if learning English ever feels overwhelming,
You know what to do.
you now have the perfect phrase. Just get away from it for a bit. Take a break. You'll come up with the energy to tackle it again soon.